If you paint with watercolors, you've definitely had a painting that you thought you ruined. Before you throw it away, I want to show you 5 easy ways to save a failed painting. Lifting, glazing, increasing contrast, adding detail, and having a plan, specifically planning a light side and a dark side. Now, my first mistake was not coming into this painting with a really clear plan for the light side and the dark side of the portrait. So the first thing I did to fix my failed painting was lift. And here's what I mean by lifting. Lifting is just removing pigment from your paper that has already dried. Here you can see I have some swatches of color that have dried on my paper, and I'm simply taking a wet brush, blotting it on my towel, so I have a blotted brush with just plain water on it, and I'm scrubbing that pigment off, and as it gets onto my brush, I'm cleaning it off and wiping that brush on my rag, dipping it in water, scrubbing the pigment, wiping my brush on the rag. And you can see that it's revealing part of the paper and creating a natural highlight. You can see that the majority of the lifting that I did on the rooster was near the bottom on the body of the rooster to put the focus and the emphasis back towards his eye and his features. The second thing I did was glaze. Here's a quick review on how to glaze. It's just layering paint over paint that has already dried to give it an extra layer of color. Just make sure when you are glazing that the paint underneath is completely 100% dry. You can see how those bits of glazing of yellow and blue, and especially the red by his eye, really made it pop. The next thing I did was increase the contrast, specifically around the rooster's eye, by increasing the depth of the black by doing extra layers of black, and even using a Posca pen to rescue some of the whites. And finally, I added detail, incorporating texture with splatter, and adding color with oil pastels and Posca pens. I created highlights and areas of deeper, richer color by essentially covering up the paint underneath with oil pastels. Now, I found once I got into using oil pastels and Posca pens that it was very easy for me to overwork the painting and even get into that muddy stage. So when you're rescuing your painting and having fun with these different techniques, it's still a good idea to show restraint. Knowing when to quit is hard, but essential. The rule that I generally follow to try and not overwork my paintings and create mud is that if I find myself hesitating a little bit before I either add a brush stroke or a pen mark or a splatter or whatever it might be, then I try to take a step back and either thoughtfully consider before I put those things on the paper, or I take a longer step back, an hour or a day or a couple days, revisit the painting with fresh eyes before I continue to work on it. And I bet you'll actually like your painting even more after you return to it in a few hours or a couple days. And tip number 5 is to invest in a plan. I really wish that before I started painting the rooster, I had made a plan to not paint as much as I did on the body of the rooster. I wish it would have turned out a lot more like this cardinal. And you can see in this cardinal painting that I very much just suggested the body with a few fun techniques and didn't really paint it. And when you're working with kind of one-sided subjects like birds, where there's one eye or one kind of side and not the whole face, I think that's essential because it can be harder to establish a clear light side and dark side to a portrait that only has one side. So instead, especially with birds, I'll pick a detailed area and an abstract suggested area. So I'll cluster the detail and the exciting techniques around the features of these one-sided portraits, around the eyes and the beak. And then I'll just suggest the rest of the portrait. And my best tip for that is just paint it less. And now you know some of the techniques I use. What about my supplies? You can get a whole PDF awesome supply list at paint333.com. And if you have had success rescuing a painting in the past, please let me know what you did in the comments. If you are loving what you're learning in this video and wish that I offered more, I do. I would love to have you join us in our Studio Family membership right here on YouTube. You can click the join button and get access to 2 exclusive member-only paint-alongs every single week. Members also get to help me choose what I paint each month, get access to monthly supply giveaways, and enjoy community in our private Facebook group. That's it. Happy painting.